Before we get into this video, I just want to let you guys know how much of a pain it was to make this. So I wrote a full script for this video. It was done and it was ready to be filmed. And a large portion of that initial video revolved around my theory that the trailers for both Agatha All Along and Captain America Brave New World would be shown for the first time at San Diego Comic-Con. Then Marvel decided to release the trailers for both of those things within a couple days of each other. So I got to rewrite a bunch of the video. And then word got out that Marvel's Comic-Con panel was not really going to focus on the shows, and it was just going to highlight the upcoming films. So I got to go rewrite a bunch of the script again to account for that. So then the new version of it centered around Deadpool and Wolverine, saying that that would be the focus of the panel. That would kind of be the main thing that they're hyping up, because Comic-Con is the same weekend that Deadpool and Wolverine releases. Well, then Marvel decided to go ahead and confirm that Deadpool and Wolverine was getting its own Comic-Con panel, separate from their main Marvel panel. At which point, I decided that the best course of action was to just completely throw away the script, because I had rewritten it more times than Blade, and start over. So hopefully, between the time at which I'm recording this video and the time of its release, there will be no new revisions, or I will attempt to punch through a cinder block. So the idea of this video is that I want to outline my predictions and theories on what they're going to talk about at Marvel's San Diego Comic-Con presentation. It's a fun little game I play with myself, where I like to guess, and then I am always wrong on like every account. But we have to kick it off with what I will not be mentioning. Deadpool and Wolverine is confirmed to be getting its own panel. Animation is getting its own panel, and the panel will be highlighting movies, so I will not be mentioning TV shows. So those three things are all disqualified from my guesses here. We are sticking purely to Marvel's live-action films. On to the first thing. Captain America Brave New World will be the centerpiece. Brave New World is the first MCU film that's releasing after Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's kind of in some hot water. Bit of a controversial film. And so I think Kevin Feige is going to take that stage and just attempt to remind us why we all fell in love with Marvel, say that they're getting back on track, and give us all a reason to be excited about this movie. Feige also likes to get the actors and directors out on stage whenever he can to try to drum up hype and let them talk about their project for a little bit. So the director, Julius Onah, he'll for sure be there. Anthony Mackie will be there. Danny Ramirez will be there. I mean, they're the duo. The two of them are going on the adventure in this movie. Giancarlo Esposito is another one that will for sure be there. I think Tim Blake Nelson is a possibility. Carl Lumley is a possibility. I do not think Shira Haas will be there. Not going to get into why. You can go look it up yourselves. But I think that it would be risky for them to toss her out on that stage. And this leads me into point number 2, because it's a person so huge and so important and so game-changing that he has to have his own spot on this list. Put Harrison Ford on that stage. Everybody loves Harrison Ford, but Harrison Ford hates everything. So theoretically, if we combine these two ideas, we have a winning combo. Also, I say this because the thought of Harrison Ford going out on that stage and being asked a question about the MCU or about comics would be such a train wreck to behold, and it would be the single greatest piece of marketing that the movie could possibly have. I don't think Harrison will want to go to Comic-Con. I just think it's in the contract that MCU actors have to attend Comic-Con if they're asked or don't have another scheduling conflict. So I'm sure he'll be there, and when he walks out on stage, it'll be the highlight of the entire event. Number 3, there will be exclusive Thunderbolts footage. I was debating with myself for a while on whether or not there would be a Thunderbolts trailer, and I think the answer is yes, but it will be exclusive to the event. Marvel has done this for several of their projects. A couple of years ago, Guardians 3 had a trailer that was at Comic-Con, and it leaked online. Infinity War also quite famously had a trailer at Comic-Con that never officially released online, although it was leaked immediately, and it's the best trailer for Infinity War. And these always get taken down, but it means that the info from those trailers will still make it online, and until the movie comes out, that trailer will just keep getting leaked over and over. So we'll all see the Thunderbolts trailer. I will be watching the Thunderbolts trailer. I'm sure the full cast will be there, but the main 2 that will guaranteed be there are Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan. They have to be there. They're the 2 leads. They're the fan favorites on the team. I want David Harbour to be there, although Stranger Things is shooting right now, so he might not be able to make it. Final thing about Thunderbolts that I think might happen at this event, we know the script has been getting a bit reworked, and there's definitely bound to be some surprises in that film. I think Kevin Feige will bring Harrison Ford back out for the Thunderbolts portion and say that Red Hulk will be returning in that movie. Just how do you do the Thunderbolts without Red Hulk? Number 4, and this is perfect for who I'm about to talk about, the Fantastic Four will be there. The movie has not begun shooting, so they won't be able to show us anything from it, but they can talk about it. And I think the Fantastic Four themselves need to be on that stage. We need to see Pedro, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Evan Moss-Bachrach. They need to be on that stage in the flesh. We need to see them and hear them talk about the Fantastic Four. This is kind of, Marvel has a lot riding on the Fantastic Four. And it's a Fantastic Four movie being made for the MCU. It's going to have a lot of eyes on it, and hopefully it'll finally be a good Fantastic Four movie. So we need the cast there to talk about it. But also, I think we're gonna see more than just the main 4. I think Julia Garner will be there, and I think Ralph Ineson will be there, Silver Surfer, Galactus, because the Fantastic Four has some of the most iconic villains in the history of comic books. They're gonna capitalize on that, and we're gonna see them as well. I think Matt Shakman also will be there to talk about the movie, because anytime he has an interview and talks about Fantastic Four, he just talks about it with an excitement that you can't script. So I'm sure they'll take advantage of that too. So we'll see the team, the villains, and Matt Shakman there. Now, as for a casting for Doctor Doom, that's not going to happen. I'm also still not sure Doom's going to be in the movie, but I definitely don't think they'll confirm Doctor Doom at Comic-Con. Moving on to number 5, Kevin Feige will tell us that Blade is still happening. So this is the section of their Comic-Con panel that will be devoted to them telling us the project they can't figure out is still being figured out. Now, granted, it won't be this huge grand thing where Feige's like, yeah, we're struggling with it, but hey, it's gonna happen. Here's the release date. Here's who's involved. We're making Blade. No, he's just gonna pull up the timeline as he usually does. He's gonna be like, all right, guys, Blade is coming out at this date, and that's all he's gonna say, but it'll just be letting us know that the movie still plans on existing in some way, shape, or form. Whether it ends up existing, that's a different thing entirely. Now, originally I included Armor Wars here. I was going to touch on both these and say that Feige was going to tell us both of them were still happening, but I didn't include it. And that's because we're about to lead into point number 6. There will be no mention of Armor Wars. It has been confirmed that Marvel and Disney quietly canceled a couple projects. And with how little Feige talks about Armor Wars at everything, I mean, hell, the last time Marvel was at SDCC, Armor Wars wasn't mentioned. So with how little it's talked about, I think that this one was just quietly canceled. So they're not going to tell us that it was canceled, though. They'll just talk about so many other things and announce other things, and Armor Wars will just not be mentioned, and we'll look at the timeline by the end of the event and be like, oh yeah, no, that's definitely not happening. And that leads perfectly into point number 7, and this is the big one. Kevin Feige will announce the rest of the films in the multiverse saga. Comic-Con is going to focus on upcoming films. We have finished Phase 4. We've seen the slate for Phase 5. Granted, it's changed because of delays and different films shifting on the schedule. But we've at least seen a version of a completed Phase 5 slate. What we have not seen fully completed is Phase 6's slate, the concluding chapter of the multiverse saga. So I bet what'll happen is Kevin Feige will take the stage. He'll be like, hey, y'all remember Phase 4? Here's Phase 5. We've only got a couple things left. Let's go ahead and talk about Phase 6. It's that time now where we are ready to see the next phase. Anyway, here's what I think will be announced. Let's see how many of these I get right. Thor 5, Shang-Chi 2, Doctor Strange 3, Black Panther 3, Young Avengers, Midnight Suns, and Scarlet Witch. There's a couple things on here that you would probably think I would have included but didn't, like Eternals 2. I'm still iffy on Eternals 2. There have been a lot of rumors that it was canceled and is being folded into another project. And I don't usually try to believe rumors, but that one just makes sense to me as something that would happen. For example, I could see them taking some of the plot lines that would have happened to Eternals 2 and putting them into Thor 5. Secondly, I'm sure many of you were wondering why I didn't mention Spider-Man 4. Because Feige doesn't announce the Spider-Man movies. The Tom Holland trilogy, he didn't announce. Sony and him together announced that they're making them, and then Marvel finds the place on the timeline and work with Sony to make sure that the continuity is kept intact, but they don't announce it. Take Far From Home, for example. Well, take Homecoming, for example. Homecoming was not announced with Phase 3. Far From Home was announced by Sony after Infinity War came out, and No Way Home was announced a few months after Feige made the Phase 4 timeline. So Sony handles the Spider-Man films, so don't freak out when Spider-Man is not mentioned at Comic-Con. Anyway, I hope I'm wrong. It'd be cool if they announced Spider-Man 4 at Comic-Con. I just don't think they will. Anyway, here's my reasoning behind the things I think they'll announce. Thor 5 just makes sense. We're left on the Hercules cliffhanger from Love and Thunder, and we just need to stop dragging the character out, give him one more solo movie in the next few years. Sure, Love and Thunder, not loved by people, but it reviewed a lot better than you would think it did, and it made a lot of money. So Thor is still a box office draw. Let's just get that 5th one out sooner rather than later. Shang-Chi 2 is really the only one on here that we know Marvel is working on, and it has been teased the 10 rings are of greater importance and might be tied into the larger saga. Those are things that have kind of been hinted at and implied. Everyone also loves Shang-Chi. We're all surprised he hasn't showed up in anything since his movie, not even as a cameo. It's weird to me. He was also like straight up recruited to be an Avenger. So he's still gonna be an important character, and we should fully expect to see this movie announced next week. We have cliffhangers for 2 Doctor Strange movies that have yet to be resolved. And he caused an incursion in Multiverse of Madness that needs to be dealt with. Incursions were a multiverse concept that were introduced in Multiverse of Madness. So if there's one thing that we should logically be seeing in the multiverse saga, it's Doctor Strange dealing with an incursion. And also, I feel like if you want to have Doctor Strange be a major player in your upcoming Avengers films, you kind of got to get him out of the dark dimension to go deal with Avengers stuff. So we're going to see a Doctor Strange 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they're sort of already in the thick of figuring that one out. So this one just makes sense. Look, people like Black Panther. There's no secret there. The first one made well over $1 billion. The second one made $850 million. These are movies that people go to see. And Letitia Wright has said that they've talked about more Black Panther. They have ideas for more Black Panther. So let's just finish the trilogy. Let's just knock out Black Panther 3 while people are still talking about Black Panther. Now, granted, of the things on here, this is the one that I'm least certain about. I feel like if there's one movie they won't announce and they'll hold off on for a little while so that they can age up T'Challa's son, T'Challa, it would be Black Panther 3. That said, you can make more than 3 Black Panther movies. Give me another Shuri one during the multiverse saga, because she's gonna be an Avenger. And then make more Black Panther movies with T'Challa's son later. Simple as that. Now we get into the crazier things. Young Avengers has been teased for a while. They've got several of them in the MCU. Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan, Cassie Lang, Billy Maximoff, Hulk's son that I keep forgetting exists. I wrote him in the notes and I've already forgotten that he exists. A bunch of them are popping up, and I know there was a rumor a little while ago that Marvel canceled Young Avengers. No, they didn't. They definitely didn't. Now, granted, the movie might not be called The Young Avengers, but it'll be a Young Avengers movie. They've been setting it up too much to not do it. But my God, they need to hurry up and do it, because Haley Steinfeld is 27 years old. That is the same age that Scarlett Johansson was in the first Avengers film. Yes, you heard me correctly. But hey, if all of these actors can convincingly play teenagers, then I guess we're golden. Midnight Suns is the Marvel movie that I have been most wanting since before the Infinity Saga was over. These are my boys. These are some of my favorite characters. And it's very clearly being built up to, and that makes my stupid little nerd brain very happy. I mean, we've got Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, Man-Thing, Elsa Bloodstone, Blade and Black Knight are showing up. Wong is a member of the Midnight Suns. They're all here. We just need Ghost Rider. We need the Blade movie to work, and then we need Ghost Rider. And we've got them all. They're slowly coming together. It's been rumored for a few years now. Hell, honestly, you could probably just introduce Ghost Rider in Midnight Suns. So I think Marvel's just gonna go ahead and finally let us know that, yeah, they're building up to a Midnight Suns film. Finally, a Scarlet Witch film. Now, I'm not even someone who wants this movie necessarily. I think Wanda works best as a supporting player in someone else's story, and yeah, I know this is a funny take coming from me given my thoughts on Elizabeth Olsen, but I don't need a Scarlet Witch movie. I was also very okay with her dying in Multiverse of Madness. But the character's super popular. They're teasing her return a little bit in Agatha all along. And considering she's one of the most popular characters right now, I am sure she'll be getting her own film. Probably one that could tie into both Midnight Suns and Secret Wars, giving the supernatural potential of that character as well as the multiversal potential of that character. Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest when we see this title pop up at Hall H. Okay, but that's it for upcoming announcements. So let's talk about just a couple more things. At number 8, confirm the Russo brothers as the directors of Avengers. Back to revisions, this category originally said, confirm Sean Levy as the director of Avengers, because I thought the job was his, legitimately. And then it changed to confirm the director of Avengers, and I was going to pitch some ideas. But now it's confirmed the Russo brothers as the directors of Avengers, because we all saw the article that they are in talks to direct these 2 movies and be brought back into the fold at Marvel Studios. I don't believe Marvel has said anything officially because they want to wait for Comic-Con. And they'll bring them out on stage. They might talk a bit about the old movies they did. It'd be a cool sizzle to see, honestly, as a montage of their previous movies before they pull up on stage to talk about the next Avengers movies and how excited they are to be back and how much they missed it and all these new characters they get to play with this time. It'll be great. It'll hype people up. There'll be a lot of cheering. It'll finally bring Marvel back in the eyes of a lot of people. Although the people at Hall H aren't typically the people who think Marvel's dead. Okay, the last point, and this is my biggest reach. I had to have one take in this video that is kind of insane, and that is that I believe they will announce one more Avengers film. For a while, it's been heavily speculated, and I've been one of the people thinking this, that the multiverse saga will end not with 2 Avengers films, but with a trilogy of Avengers films. Now, I don't know if it would be a Secret Wars Part 2, or if it would be its own thing. I know a lot of people have said the title Avengers Forever would be really cool, and yeah, it'd be dope. But it could be Avengers 5, and then Avengers Secret Wars, and Avengers Secret Wars Part 2. I can see that happening also with just how many characters there are and how beefy of a story Secret Wars is. But regardless, I believe there will be a 3rd Avengers film to wrap up the multiverse saga. And the Russos might be doing all 3, or they'll just do the 2 Secret Wars ones. And that wraps it all up. I had a couple more predictions initially, but as I wrote out what I fully think would happen, I realized there's just not room for certain things on here, so I left them out. But what do you guys think will happen, be shown, or be announced at San Diego Comic-Con? Do you agree with my predictions? Do you disagree? What would you change? Am I crazy for thinking there will be another Avengers movie announced? Let me know all of that down in the comments below. Also, leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. I'm going to have some Deadpool shit happening in a couple days. You're going to want to get notified. But that's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.